Hey everybody, welcome to Season 3 of Song Revolution. Get ready to ramp up your songwriting. Hey everybody, John and Bryant back with you for more of Song Revolution. We've been doing this show since 2017. We've had a couple of breaks for heart attacks and a couple of other crazy things that have happened along the way. But
starting out strong.
We've created over 200 shows, and I'm so excited that we've been able to just bring you such an amazing cachet of incredible shows. So go back and check out the archives and just build yourself up and become an incredible songwriter through Song Revolution. I hope you've been following along this year. We are in April, and this month is about the power of creative community. And we're following along the NCS 2025 Songwriting Challenge Guide. If you haven't gotten that yet, it is not too late. You can check it out in the show notes along with other links to wonderful things that we are doing here at Nashville Christian Songwriters. Bryant, how the heck are you this morning?
I'm great, man. 2017, that's 8 years ago. Been
Can't
running
believe
this
it.
show for 8 years. That's crazy.
Met randomly in a coffee shop.
Yep.
We've told that story in other places.
Yep.
You're still in my phone as the coffee creeper.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it in there forever.
Please do.
So,
Please
yeah,
do.
They will bury me with that phone. But hey, so this month is all about the power of creative community. We've had some great shows so far, more to come, and it's just been a great kickoff for this year. I've loved the first 3 months and now into the fourth month. I hope you guys are getting a lot of value out of it because we really want to just pour it out. And the guide, our free monthly First Monday trainings, the podcast. So,
Yep.
so it's all about just pouring into you guys. And I think the reason that this is so important is because Bryant and I both know the power of creating in community. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that show before last with Bryant, kind of his college days with Kyle Kicker, who is behind the scenes today. Shout out to Kyle, who is our podcast producer and editor. Do we call him producer? Or is he just, he's producing it. He's
executive
producer. He's the tech. He's the man with the money behind the show.
Yeah,
but
he's
anyway,
the Wizard of Oz.
Shout out to Kyle. But it really takes a village. It takes a team if you want to be a successful person in life. There are very few totally 100% self-contained people. And so that's why it's so important that we all surround ourselves with good people. Mm-hmm. I want to say one quick thing before we kind of break down. Today we're talking about building your creative team, and we want to basically deconstruct what it takes to build a team and bring you some suggestions on how you can do that. But I've been thinking back on not only the different communities, maybe the communities first and then maybe some specific people, but, church is a great community for us all to be involved with. Our family, of course, key relationships. I think men tend to be kind of isolated and alone, so it's good to have accountability groups or maybe, get with a buddy for coffee. I have a great friend named Raymond, and I've known Raymond for about 5 years, and he and I meet pretty faithfully every other Friday. And have coffee on Friday afternoons. And he's just the kind of guy, and I hope I am too, that we can just share anything with no judgment and just love one another, pray for each other, support one another. And that's so powerful on just an emotional, psychological level, right?
Definitely.
And but then when it comes to the arts and trying to be a successful creator, I know that I have benefited so much from different groups, different communities. I've had the incredible privilege of working for two of the major Christian music companies, Integrity Music years ago, and then Star Song Media, and then Integrity Music. And now with God's help, we're building Nashville Christian Songwriters as just that. But I'm so grateful for the communities and for the individuals that have been a part of my story, a part of the success that I've had. I wouldn't be here without those people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I'm not smart enough, pretty good looking, but even my good looks, they really don't get you as far as you want them to, right, in life. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the analogy of like an awards show, right? Like you watch the Grammys or something, and the artist or the person who wins the award goes up on stage to accept it, and they give their speech, and they think, you know, usually a short list, there's probably a way longer list of people who help support to get them to that point, but there's a team behind every, you know, successful artist, successful songwriter of some sort, whether at varying degrees of what level they're at. But yeah, there's always, so as you're building your career, building your, you know, path as a songwriter, as an artist, if you start thinking this way, and that's why we've been talking about this all month, you start thinking about how can I build my team? Who are my people? Who do I need to be around? Who do I need to, you know, spend time with, like your buddy Raymond? So you have your people who at a like heart community, spiritual, you know, church community, pastors, that level. But then as a creator, who are the people that bring life to my creative process? Who are the people that can do what I can't do or can do better maybe what I could do by myself? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, you know, I think about a lot of the people that we serve now at one time were lonely songwriters, aspiring artists, and they were sitting at home in, you know, the living room or the den or wherever, and they were dreaming of having songs on the radio or making singles or making albums, or maybe they weren't necessarily artists, but they were songwriters, and they're wondering, how does that happen? And they're listening to the radio or seeing things on television or whatever, or even singing in church, and they wonder, how does that happen?
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do is, and now, I mean, just kind of to finish the thought, now they're doing it. Right? Because they've come through our community, any number of our programs, group, one-on-one, artist development. But what we're here to do is to help walk them through the process and be part of that team. We're not all of that team, but to surround them with the people that they need. But at one point, they were just like people probably watching today, where they don't understand how that happens. And they're sitting there with their notebook or their voice memos, and they want this so badly, but they don't understand kind of all the pieces and parts. Yeah. So what if we break that down just a little bit? And maybe we can bring some real-life examples from our NCS collective, as I was just mentioning, people that are literally doing what a lot of folks watching, you know, probably dream of. Yeah, so absolutely. Starts with the song. Right. Starts with the idea. The inspiration. There you go. Yeah.
Starts with a title or a hook or a thought of like, oh, maybe that'll make a song. And then, you know, you do the hard work to craft the song, which is the basis of everything we do here and teach people to do. And then once you have a completed song, then what comes next?
Well, you know, last month we broke down, no, it was month before last, in production. It gets confusing. But we talked about production, everything from your work tape or your voice memo to a serious studio production master. So that's that part of it. But there's a whole world of things that have to happen for a song to break through, be heard, and to actually, you know, be sung by an artist, whether that's you or someone else. To be heard on the radio, all the marketing, everything that goes into that. You know, one thing that in one of the curriculum packages that I have, I think I have this in the curriculum somewhere, I think of the music, the business of music as an inverted pyramid. And so when you think of the song, it's kind of like the bottom tip of the pyramid, and then comes the recording, and then the release and the marketing and all the stuff that has to happen to reach what the top longest level would be the world, or the people say, I want to write for the masses, but the masses are up there on top of that pyramid, and you've got to figure out how to have the kind of song, the kind of production, the kind of marketing, the kind of in infrastructure business-wise around you to accomplish that. Right?
And the wider the triangle, the more people are involved.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
to be able to like reach that amount of people. Otherwise, it's a real skinny, narrow. You're affecting just a few people or just people in your circle already.
Yeah, and as you said a minute ago, so much of what we do in our training is about the song. Because there are millions of people writing songs and releasing. Spotify releases a couple of 100,000 a day, right?
Yep.
And so what we try to do is bring the writer and the song to the point where it can stand out.
Yep.
And then engage the rest of that process.
Yep.
So let's pretend we've got a master level recording.
Yep.
So then what happens? And who are the players?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what goes into that master recording? Or
we can, because that's part of the creative team, right?
Sure.
So
just on a real top level, and this is more traditional, right? Because there's another layer of like technology's made it easy to record on your laptop and create a song. But traditionally, you would have the songwriter, you would have the producer, arranger, who would kind of take the song and build it into something that would, bring it to life. And then you'd have like an editor in between that phase, whether the producer is that person or not, who cleans it all up, all the recordings, makes everything ready for mix. And then you have a mix engineer.
And we demonstrated a lot of that at the end of February when we were back in our studio. And you led us through that.
Yep. So the mix engineer takes it, mixes it down, makes it feel like it's supposed to feel based on the producer's feedback and the artist's feedback. And then you have a mastering engineer that takes that 2-track mix and levels it, makes it loud enough, adds his own kind of flavor, creative EQ and just things to it to make it that master level recording. So again, that's the traditional way. That's the team approach versus doing it all on your laptop and using Logic to make it all work. But yeah, so once you have that master recording, then what? Is that what you're asking me? So all of that to say, let me ask myself my own
question. And there was
silence
silence in the heavens. I mean, I was following you there. I mean, because you have all the studio work and the team that's there.
Right.
Musicians, singers, producers, arrangers, editors, mastering engineers, and all that. And then depending on what audience you're trying to go out to, that's when you begin to engage with social media. Even if you're doing it yourself, if you're going to market yourself, which you can do, then you begin to create the buzz, if you will, around your songs. And one of the things that I'm always saying to people is you've got to give people a reason to consume your music. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because of all the zillions of songs out there, you're just going to be floating in a sea of mediocrity. Let me tell you somebody who's just crushing it in promoting their music, and that's Anya Lee. Anya Lee is one of our NCS collective artists. She was found dead on the Appalachian Trail in 2019, a true resurrection story. They revived her, and she had been putting off making her music, and the first thing she knew when she came back to life was that God was giving her a second chance. And she's doing some great streaming, and we've been having fun producing her. Gregatron has been producing her. Go look Gregatron up. He's awesome. Kobe James has been producing a little bit. So it's just been a great experience for Anya. But Anya Lee she's crazy good at social. And these days, if you want to get out there and compete, you've got to give people a reason. Social media is one of those ways you do that. By being entertaining, by being inspirational, by being goofy, like on TikTok, I guess.
I'm
going to get some cats. I think I'm just going to get some cats and go on TikTok.
Maybe
that's what we're missing.
Yeah, we need more cat videos on the internet.
But she's great at it.
Yeah,
I mean, she's got great music, but she has that other part dialed in too.
Right, and it's really marketing is what it is.
It's totally.
Really, like there's a book, Seth Godin, who's kind of like a masterful marketer, been around for a long time, but he has a book called This Is Marketing, really easy read.
I love that book. It's a great book.
Small book. But honestly, if you're a songwriter, aspiring artist, aspiring songwriter, go read that book, because it will change the way you think about how to present an idea or how to present it in a way that other people can consume it and appreciate it. And you can communicate better if you understand that side of marketing.
Exactly. Sure. And it's changed. I mean, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about how things were pre-dig. And now, I mean, it's like now, because it is all in our phones, we really can become our own marketing,
Yeah, and what was the TikTok, 10 years ago? It's like in 10 years, social media may be non-existent. Who knows? But if you understand those principles of communication and marketing,
right,
then you can use whatever platform is in your generation. It used to be like billboards. Like, we still have some billboards, but a big thing would be get the prime spot on the interstate, a billboard for your album release, right?
There
Labels
you go.
would do that.
Yeah.
So what is the billboard now? Where are people looking? Honestly, even if they're on the interstate, they're probably still looking at their phones, which is kind of terrifying. but you use the medium that you have and what's relevant to your time in history. So but
absolutely.
Understanding the principles is key.
Well, and as we kind of wrap up this first segment, I want to put a little bow on it, and that is that it takes more than just writing a song these days. It's just a very different kind of game, and you do need to know who your team members are and what their functions are, how to engage well with your intended audience. And when we come back, let's kind of break that down a little more.
Love it.
We'll be right back. What would it feel like to have 52 weeks of access to the right people in Nashville? People who've been making music for decades. People who can answer every question that you have about what pro-level music making is all about. Well, you can get that and more by joining NCS Community. Our community is a group of worldwide dedicated Christian songwriters who want what you want, to glorify God with your gifts and to get your music out there. I hope that you'll consider joining NCS Community today. All right, so I really hope that you'll consider joining us in NCS Community if you are serious, and I believe you are, about your calling to write and get great songs out there for the Lord. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it on the planet to have 52 weeks of coaching and Q&A and interaction with us. It is above and beyond the money that you will invest. And now we're offering a 14-day free trial, so you can get 2 weeks free and then decide if you want to stay in. We're offering monthly enrollment so that you can come and go as you need to, or you can save money by joining annually. But I just want to ask you to seriously pray about it and consider it. We'd love to be seeing you next Tuesday in community. So in our first segment, we were introducing the idea that it takes a village. If you want to become a successful songwriter, singer-songwriter, an artist, or really anything successful, unless you are just a freaky savant-like person, you're not going to be self-contained. And you really need the gifts and the talents, the abilities that a community, a creative community, will bring around you. So we've been opening up, what does it mean to build a team? And so let's talk for just a few minutes today, Bryant, about where to start building a team. Let's just say that you are... let's just say that you are Leanne in Lima, Ohio.
Okay.
Who's a real person. Okay. Shout out to Leanne.
I'm going there. I might close my eyes, but I'm going there.
Let's say that you are, you're not a great musician. Okay, this is no reflection on you, Leanne. You're a great musician. But, maybe you have this desire.
Yeah.
You've been writing. And, of course, we want you to consider coming into our programs, and we can help surround you with these. But what would your first step be in building a team? Where would you imagine starting?
I would say, whatever it takes to get your songs captured in a way that is congruent with your vision for your career, right? So if that means hiring a producer, if that means hiring a mix engineer because you have recorded everything and you want it to sound better, then hire a mix engineer. If you want, like, figuring out how to get your songs from idea to master product, right? So that it's ready to release. Like, that's the first step to me.
Yeah.
So that could look different for different people. If you're a producer-minded person and you like technology and you get into the weeds on producing, you might just need to hire a guitar player to play your song if you're not a guitar player, and then you can record it. Or you might need the whole process, so you hire a producer and do those. So that's step one for sure.
I like that. I'm going to go back one step, and you said it, depending on your vision, you know? And so the first thing I would really encourage people to do would be to get clear on their vision. You know, I mean, the Habakkuk, some people say Habakkuk. I can never say Habakkuk. Habakkuk says, without a vision, the people perish. One translation says they run amok. They run amok in Habakkuk. But I think that clarity is kind. And if you can get clear on where you feel God is taking you, you know, then you will know what the next step will be. You know, it's like if you just get up and start walking, God makes the way. Proverbs 16:9, the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs our steps. And I believe with all my heart, if you have the vision for glorifying God with your gifts, writing these songs, figuring out how to get them out, and as you said, the next step is that production step, then you will know the next step. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Whether it's through us in community, which it's like really obvious, that's a great way to do it. But, you know, if that's not what you want to do, then continue to pray. God will lead you in the way that you should go, right? But if you have that vision, you know, if you just go out in the parking lot and get in your car and start driving, okay, if that's your thing. But if you're like, no, I want to go to Wendy's and get a hamburger, well, you got to know where Wendy's is. Yeah. And you got to take the right turns to go to Wendy's to accomplish a burger.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to start using that. Accomplish. I'm going to accomplish this burger.
I'm going to accomplish this. But you got to know where you're going. Yeah. Right. And so many people that I talk to, when people inquire on our breakthrough calls about our programs, they don't really know where they want to go. They just know they feel inspired, and they feel or they think erroneously that they can jump from that automatically out to the world. And just because they feel like they love Jesus, which they do, and that they've written a song, you know, on their phone or whatever, that the next step is the world. And there's a whole long process. But if you know that you're called to be a singer-songwriter, and you know that God somehow, as impossible as it might seem, wants to use you in that way, you do go to the next step of getting them recorded the best you can. And I would insert coaching so that you know that the songs are worth recording. And then from there, we talked a moment ago in the first segment about social media. What about websites? And if you're not great at building websites, you get help doing that. Of course, it's pretty easy with Squarespace.
Pretty easy these days. They kind of lay it out. As you were talking about vision, can I just share a hack real quick that came to mind? And we've seen this so many times happen with people who come in with a strong vision and they share that vision. Because it's one thing to have a vision for what you want to do. It's another thing to be bold and share it with people. And time again, it's like people that get out there and share a vision for what they want to do. Sometimes the team like assembles around you in a way that you just never imagined would happen, right? So you share the vision for what you want, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, I heard you talk about this. I want to help. I want to support you. I want to whatever. We've seen artists who have had people approach them and support their career or portion of it, right? Like, I want to pay for your album. I want to pay, like, don't be that person who's constantly looking for those opportunities, because that's easy to suss out kind of when somebody's just looking for those things. But if you have a strong vision, if you're called to it and you're faithful to share that vision and just get out there, inevitably people are attracted to a strong vision, right?
Exactly.
So just that's a hack maybe for somebody who's
I really like that.
afraid to share what they're passionate about.
And people are afraid to be self-promoters, and I get that and I understand that, but that's different than helping people understand what you do and your calling.
Yeah.
Like if I was a timid marketer, like, well, I just don't know that I can tell people about NCS because, what if they think that I'm, arrogant or something because I've got this company, Nashville Christians. It's like, heck no. I mean, I earn the right to serve people with the hundreds of thousands of dollars we put into everything that we do. It's like, you need to know that we can help you.
Yeah.
And artists are the same. If you have a burning message inside, a testimony, God's healed you, God's done something wonderful in your life, or you're called to bring people into worship, you got to get out there and tell people about that and find a way. You can still be humble and, not all puffed up like a tick and, and share the message that God's put in your life. You can still do that. And do it with humility and do it with a heart to serve people, right? I mean, come on. It's just really about mindset. And
And your approach, humility is the word. That's the word of the day. So once you have your vision, once you have your songs in a place where they're produced well, you feel like you have a product that you can share. And then we talked about marketing. Now, if you're not a great graphic designer, maybe you struggle through making your own album art, hire a graphic designer. Go to Fiverr.com and get somebody to make an album art piece for you. There, obviously, money is at the heart of that. Like, if you have the resource to pay someone, great. If you don't, DIY is the way. Like, go for it, try it.
Yeah.
But get feedback along the way and get better as you progress. So marketing. That's kind of where people have to live for a long time, right? Because for the life of your song, you're always going to be promoting it or pushing people to hear the song or sharing it in live context too.
You're totally right. And it made me think of when people apply for a breakthrough songwriting call with me. I'm still the guy that does all of those calls to talk about our different programs. So many times people put on, because we ask some, I hope, pretty revealing questions. And one of them is about, why do you want to do this? And do you know, often I'll get things like to be a famous songwriter or to be a rock star or a Christian pop star. And when I see that, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because the reason God has done this in our lives is because he has the gifts he's given us, they're his gifts, but they're to love and serve other people. And so when I see that, it really kind of turns me off, and it's like, oh, gee, I dread that call sometimes because I feel like that person's heart isn't in the right place, And so...
Or you just say, sorry, try again later.
Yeah, right.
Come again when you've got this figured out.
But if you have a vision for your music, if you have a reason for your music, to me, that's the real calling, right?
Yeah.
It's not to be like Carrie Job or to be like, somebody else. It's not, you don't need to be like those people. You need to be you. And God will bring that team along. I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. It comes back to your reason for people to want to hear your music. Let me say it differently. Giving people a reason to come and hear your music. Let me give you one more analogy, and that's a wheel, like a wheel on a bicycle with all the different spokes. Music is some portion of those spokes. I don't know how many spokes a bicycle wheel has, but it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So some percentage of that wheel, the spokes on that wheel, are your music, but the rest of it is your social media. It's your reason.
It's you. Yeah.
It's you, right? It's whatever theme or testimony or reason. It's your why. Was it Seth Godin that talked about what's your why? You talked about Seth a while ago.
Probably. Yeah.
But if you don't know your why, which we're covering that a lot in our NCS 2025 songwriting challenge guide, it's like if you haven't identified your why, you're going to be flailing around and you're going to get really frustrated and you're not going to accomplish a whole lot. And so if you know your why you know where you want to go or where you feel God wants you to go, and you start walking that way, jump into all of our materials, jump into the community, join one of our programs, and then let's build that team together.
And make sure your why isn't to be famous.
Or a rock star.
Or a rock star.
Yeah, and if those things happen, I mean, we're all grateful that Chris Tomlin is famous.
Yeah.
He's given us such a rich legacy. He has such a rich legacy of songs that we all know and love, right? Think of other people. Think of the Gaithers or Don Moen, or think of, I mean, even pop stars. I mean, I love some Celine Dion songs.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Why do they make so much fun of Kenny G? I don't know.
It might be the hair.
You think?
Maybe part of it.
I don't know what it is, but I still love me some Celine Dion. Or you know, there are lots of other artists that have brought joy to my life because they persevered, they figured it out, they built their team through all the ups and downs, all the years. They had a long vision, a long-range vision for what they're doing, and they brought the world their gift. And I think that's what this is all about.
That's it. You summed it up well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I think we should go ahead and put a bow on it at that point. I'm not sure what else we could say, but
that's great.
All right, you guys. Well, it's been a joy being with you this month. We have so many more things coming up in May. It is such an exciting time to be alive. God's hand is on your life. You're called. We're called to help you. And so I want to encourage you to go over and take advantage of everything that we offer at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. The free monthly first Monday of the month training, absolutely free. This podcast is free. Our NCS 2025 Songwriting Challenge, absolutely free. But I don't want you to stop there. I want you to be bold and invest in yourself, invest in the audience that God wants to bring you to through your songs, through your art, through your heart for Jesus. This is all about Him. So go check everything out. Check out the links in the show notes, and we will see you next time on Song Revolution. Thanks for joining us on today's show. If you got some value, please help us share the love. Leave a like and a share and a good review. Be sure to check out everything that we have to offer you at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. We'll see you next time.